I've got 7 loops set on my frame. This means 14 threads. To map out the pattern for these 14 threads, I'll take a piece of graph paper and I'll mark off 14 squares. The first stitch involves the first 2 threads, so I make a slash through the first 2 squares, indicating a stitch. Here's the second stitch and the third. Each stitch uses 2 threads. That means 2 squares. That's the initial row. Threads cross in pairs. For the next row, we'll have another set of 14 squares. The first stitch on a plait row has you pick up 2 threads, put 1 down. That's 3 threads. I call this a right edge stitch, and the notation is a slash that goes through 3 squares. You then work plain stitches, pick 1 up, put 1 down. Each of these stitches has 2 threads, so 2 squares. At the end of the plait or braiding row, you pick up 1, put 2 down. That's 3 threads, so 3 squares, and I call this a left edge stitch. For clarity, people like it when I color code the right edge and left edge stitch to distinguish them one from the other. In plain interlinking, the next row will be an overplait or follow-up row. We'll work plain stitches all the way across. That's 2 threads in each stitch. So we have a row that looks like this. And this is how I would work such a row. Pick 1 up, put 1 down. Each stitch uses 2 threads all the way across the overplait row. And here's where we get into some interesting things with writing patterns. What happens if, after working an overplait row, you work the next row exactly the same way? You use 2 threads for each stitch all the way across the row. The resulting structure looks like ropes. And on the pattern, we see boxes of stitches all stacked up. I use heavy dark lines to indicate holes.